Hey, it's Excalibur. I'm back yet again, and this is my first look and review of Homefront. I'm playing it on PC. It's actually a pretty impressive game, and it's actually one of the first military shooters I've seen released on PC in the last, I would say in the last like 6 months that actually I find to be pretty impressive. Obviously, it takes off on some aspects of Battlefield and also of Call of Duty. Now, one of the things I wanted to point out here as well too, and the first thing you'll notice as well too, is a weapon class setup. And your default classes are pretty decent. You've already seen the assault as well too. You have the M4 rifle. You have like an EMP as well too. You have flak jacket, and you have perks down the bottom as well too, which you can switch up. Now, the SMG class, pretty much the same deal. You just have a red dot sight, flashbang, and flak jacket. Of course, the RPG. But the thing is that on the heavy class, this is the part that I found pretty impressive because you didn't actually slow down running with the weapon. You have a 249 LMG, EMP grenade, Hellfire, which I haven't even tested yet, or the RPG. Tactical options down the bottom as well too are pretty straightforward, kind of similar to Call of Duty, not a whole lot different that way, but the overall movability and use of and stuff like that too of these weapons are pretty straightforward. The reason I say that is because, you know, in default classes, the LMG class on Call of Duty, you know that if you're going to jump into a game, it's going to slow your speed down to like 80% to what you normally would be running around the map. And of course, you know, you need to have lightweight on or something of that nature. Here, with this LMG as well too, you can make it around the map pretty well and pretty easily. So, you know, it's kind of similar to what the assault class has, but it's just a little bit more intense. And you'll see here in a section as well too, you can check out the sniper. The N110 sniper rifle as well too. I like this. This is a pretty beastly looking sniper rifle. Pretty much semi-automatic as well too. Well, from what I consider semi-automatic, you're not sitting there reloading after every shot really. I like it. You know, the sights are pretty good for a default class setup as well too. You have Hellfire, you have the EMP grenade, and also you have the I guess you can call it a droid, but I don't really call that thing a droid in the lower left. You see there? That is your drone that you send it as well too to heavy fire areas. Saves you having to walk in there yourself as well too, so you can find cover, send the drone out. And you know, I got taken down when I first started this game as well too a couple times with it, so obviously it's pretty effective as well too. Not necessarily if you want to camp the spawns, but you get the basic idea as well too. You can pretty much drive it around as well too. It's kind of like having that little RC car, but a little bit more effective than that, because you can actually take a couple shots off there, and yeah, it's kind of fun. So I guess I'll have to try that in the very near future. I also haven't tried the RPG yet in any of these classes, so I'll have to get into that a little bit. Check out the how well it aims as well too, and the range on it as well, because I'm always kind of curious about that. But you know, overall, for the way they actually set this game up and the way they developed it, it is very much similar to the Call of Duty class setup. I wouldn't really compare it too much to Battlefield, but the actual game itself, I can compare it a little bit to Battlefield and the actual gameplay. And I'll show you that here in a minute as well too, so you can have a look at it. But you know, I'm pretty impressed. I like it. You know, and the thing is that there was a fair bit of hype about this game, and I guess I wouldn't say quite as much as Call of Duty, but the overall expectations when you start playing it are actually pretty straightforward. Now, how the game runs on the PC are, I would say, about the same as Battlefield. It only took about 5 minutes before my fans started kicking in on my box itself, so I was kind of impressed by that a little bit, because of the fact that I knew that my system was doing its job, and the actual application as well too, the actual game itself, was actually doing a fair bit of rendering. Now, if you look in game here as well too, one of the things that I almost found to be a little bit of a disappointment was the fonts they actually give you. And you probably saw that there for a brief second. The fonts they use over the characters and also for the cap points as well too are somewhat similar to Modern Warfare 2. That's the way I can sort of compare it to. When your scores come up, when you actually make a kill as well too, that took me a bit to get used to, because I give it this kind of weird kind of, I guess it's kind of a cayenne kind of font, or sorry, color. But the thing is that you know, it's not a huge disappointment for me. It's not like a real deal breaker for this game. But what I actually really appreciate, and you'll see this right here on the screen in front of me, is the distance to target. And that's something that Call of Duty doesn't do. And it's the same thing for Battlefield. And I have to admit that I really appreciate that because it actually lets you know exactly where you are in relation to where your cap points are. So you can make the necessary adjustments and get around the map effectively. Now there is a fair bit of cover on these maps. They're all pretty much about the same sort of setup, roughly speaking. Obviously a completely different map, but the thing is there's a lot of cover around to hide behind. You know, so just sitting there and camping in one little spot as well too, but sometimes does happen. I've seen a couple of games here where I popped into, people were sitting there and sort of camping, camping the capture points, and that part is kind of annoying. But the interesting thing about the game type itself is that the whole cap points within it will actually shift up a bit during that game, so it kind of gives those campers and stuff like that a bit of a run for the money. And you'll see that a little bit later in the game, and it's something that I find to be really appreciative. And the thing is that it adds a different dynamic to the whole game style itself. And it's something I haven't really seen a whole lot in any other first-person military shooters yet. And seeing the fact that they did it here in this one really adds a different dynamic. And as you can see, like, there's a ton of places you can go for cover. I'm kind of heading over here to where Alpha is and trying to hang it out as well too, to try to see if I can find somebody camping it. But the more I kind of sit there in one spot, the more likely I am to be taken out, which I think I get taken out here in a couple of seconds. Or I take down a teammate, or no, I take down this guy. No, he takes me down. Oh well. But what I wanted to do is really run through each of the classes as well too, to give you a better idea what the gun looks like and the actual setup of it as well too. Here I'm running the tactical class, and this is the one I'm actually using quite a bit. First off, the ACR is a pretty effective weapon. It's a combination of both the SMB and also like an assault rifle, and of course by default comes with the ACOG scope. Why can't I keep calling it that? But it is pretty decent as well too. One of the things you see here on that class as well too that I haven't actually posted in this game is that personal UAV. Oddly enough, that is a really handy little piece of tool. It's something that's very effective in this game because it not only gives you a notification on the map, it gives you an actually line of sight notification as to where the enemy players are. So what it actually presents up there as well too on screen, in identifying what those players are. For instance, where this guy was sitting as well too, it showed like a little trapezoid. So it sort of warned you ahead of time as well too, so you know that ahead of you here is so and so enemy player. And I found that to be pretty cool. Now, as you can see here, that the overall look of the weapons are pretty detailed. I think this one looks pretty beastly for a default LMG. I like it. Of course, I get taken out, but I don't really care. I'm just throwing up gameplay here to give you a better idea what stuff looks like and what to expect if you actually are considering purchasing Homefront. Now, here, what am I spawning in as? Oh, this is the next class down. This is not quite that. Is it explosive? No. Check out the in the lower right-hand corner as well too. This is one thing that they actually did in this game that I really like. The actual ammunition per magazine as well too. I like the way they laid it out better than Call of Duty's, because they don't just actually tell you, give you a number how many rounds you have left. It actually shows you on screen, so it's a lot quicker reference, a lot easier to know like how many grenades you have as well too, and special grenades and tactical stuff you have in here, and your other perks as well. So stuff like that I find to be really handy, and basically it lets you know if you've actually used that perk or that grenade or whatever as well too. So that little bit of notification is on screen. It's kind of nice. You don't have that in Call of Duty, and I kind of wish they would have done it differently that way. But like I said, overall the setup is pretty good. You can see that the graphics are pretty decent in this game. I've heard some comments made about the foliage not being all that great, but you know what? It's foliage. Like, who really cares? I mean, if you can hide behind it, great, fine. More or less behind, like I'm doing right here, behind a tree or a rock or something. So who cares about what the leaves look like up close? It's not gonna make a difference for me. I want to know how the game plays, and this one actually plays pretty well. And I can see we're gonna have to put a fair bit of time in here as well too, to getting, I guess you can say, half decent at the game. And actually the default class here on the sniper class is pretty good. I haven't used the zoom on it yet. I should be actually showing you that, but I'm not. Not that I've actually, don't intend to do that, but I just want to run through the weapons. But this sniper rifle, the M110, is actually looking pretty beastly for a sniper gun. And the reload time is fairly quick as well too, so you don't have to sit there and manually reload after every shot. As far as it being sort of a one-hit kill, yeah, it pretty much is. I haven't started using any of the melee attacks in this game. It's not really really needed because I mean the amount of time you spent up close and in front of people or being able to sneak up on them is pretty minimal. I would say most of the shots or most of my deaths here that have occurred so far, and you'll see it here a few times, are more at a distance. So typically speaking, you want to have a weapon that's more of a ranged weapon. The SMB class as well too is pretty cool that way because as even though it is an SMB, you actually have a fair bit of range with it.
Yeah.
Not a whole ton of recoil. The most recoil you probably see here in this game review that I'm doing is probably off the sniper rifle. Now here we're actually at the point where the cap points have actually shifted, and this is the part that I like about this game because of the fact that it keeps it from being boring.
Do what?
So you don't run the same roads, you're not jumping around the same areas as well too. You have to find a new tactical advantage as well to where the enemy players are and to where your team is. So I can see wholly where having a strong team is really important. So if you want to actually play with a bunch of guys or something like that who've been playing Battlefield or something like that too, and you jump into this game, it's not a whole lot different. It is different, of course, in Call of Duty, but at the same time, it is such that you're not going to be running and gunning, but you're actually going to find that the gameplay and the game style of how you actually have to play it are a fair bit different. But it's not in any way discouraging from what I've seen. And like I said, it's pretty easy to level up. I'm just kind of watching where these other squad mates are going. Obviously, they're heading over to find cover, I guess. I guess they're heading over to A. That's alright. Fine, I'll head over there too. A little bit of lag here. Sorry about that. I'm not really sure what happened. I was just in Fraps and it just did that. I think somebody actually left off my TeamSpeak channel or something. But here I make a defend as well too for my teammate. Get the kill. As you can see there that the points, the way they come up, the font they use in there too, I didn't really find that all that clear, all that definitive. If they would have had like either two different colors in there or a whole different font as well too to show you how many experience points you're getting, it would make more sense to me. And of course at the top right corner you can see the auto spawn. Now there's two ways to get back in this game really quickly. You can click on spawn in the lower right hand corner, or what you can do is actually hit the space bar and it will throw you back in pretty quick. So if you're using the exact same class and you don't want to switch up your class at all, hit the space bar, you're back in the game within seconds, so you don't have to wait the full 30 seconds or anything like that. But here I'm trying to take this guy down with the ACOG, but no. This is 1-on-3, not working out too well. Oh well, but I'm not disappointed. The fact that you get to use some of the unlocked, or what would be normally unlocked classes level 2 are pretty straightforward, and definitely appreciated. I'm not sure what the deal is with that, but it is actually creates for a more fun, more intense game as well too, having that sort of option to select a different class. But that's the end of my review, so by all means, feel free to drop me a comment or your opinion of the game, and I would appreciate it. Cheers.